What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my channel. In this tutorial we are going to solve an interview question asked by some big companies like Google, etc. And the question is actually really simple. You are going to given an array, and this array will hold the value of 1 through n, and you are going to need to find the missing number from the array. So for example, in the 9th line we have an array of size 4, and as you can see we don't have the 4 value here. But note that this doesn't need to be ordered. So for example, the array could be like this actually. Let's say that 2, 1, 3 and 5. So I'll solve the naive solution first, then after that we are going to solve the solution which Google wants you to solve, to think a little bit of it with brainstorming. So if I've asked them this question and they want me to find the solution, not the optimal one, I would actually create a new array with size of n plus 1, and this will be actually a boolean array, and I'll initiate all the values to false, and I'll traverse the original array and set the boolean values to true, and at the last I'll just return the value of 0 from our array. So let's actually implement it. So it will go like this. Int find missing. So this will have two parameters, an integer array and the size of our array. So let's create a new boolean array here, and let's call this ordered, or you can call this R1, whatever you prefer, and this will have n plus 1 values, and we need to initiate all of them to 0. So there's actually two ways you can do this, whichever you prefer. As you might know, in C++, if the array is not a constant number, you can't initiate it with like this. So it will give you an error, variable size object, blah 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 blah. And you can just do it with a simple for loop, but I prefer to use CString for this operation. In CString there's a function called memory set, and you just give the arrays reference here, and after that you give the values that you want to fill the array with, and after that you just give the array's size. Nice and simple, huh? But the other way is just, let's write it actually, for int I equals 0, I smaller than n plus 1 and I plus plus, and r1 I equal to false, whichever you prefer. I prefer the first one. So let me comment here for now. So let's write our for loop now. In our for loop we are going to iterate all the numbers from our array. For int I equals 0 and I smaller than n and I plus plus. And now we need to set our R1, not I. R1's array ith element minus 1 will be equal to true. So y minus 1, as you can see from here, our array's index starts from 1, therefore we need to subtract 1 from it. Nice and simple. And after all these operations, now we have just a 0 value here. You can do it with a simple for loop, actually. It's just your call. So with the simple for loop, it will go like this. For int I equals 0, and I smaller than n plus 1, and I plus plus. And after this, if r1i is equal to 0, you need to return I plus 1. So let's try it now. And we can just return 0 here. It's just a dummy variable. We know that it will be found in the for loop here. So let's try it now. I am couting find missing. So I'll give array and the size of array, then print a new line here. As you can see, we've successfully regained 4 from here. But if you want to do it with built-in C++ driver functions, aka the SDL, you can replace this for loop with a simple command, and it will go like this actually. So you are going to return, there is a function called distance in C++, and it will start from our array's initial value, and it will go through some value which we don't know, and you can actually find it with the find function implemented in C++, and it will go like this. So we are calling our find function here. It will start from R1, and it will go through R1 plus n plus 1. Please remember that plus 1, since it's one bigger than our original array, and we want to find the value of 0. You can just simply write it in one line like here, but remember we are calculating our distance here and it will give you the value of -1, so therefore we need to add a +1 here. Let's try it again. I'm running the code. As you can see, we have successfully regained 4 from our function 2, whichever you want for a simple for loop or a C++ built-in function. So what is the other way? What is the way that the Google engineers or some huge companies want you to think about? Let me explain it actually. Since this is a sorted array and it just misses a 1 value, as you know, the sum of numbers through 1 to n is actually equals to n times n plus 1 divided by 2. So if we put the n times n plus 1 over 2 in here, but remember that since the array is actually one larger size, we need to write n plus 1 times n plus 2 divided by 2. If you put 5 here actually, it will go 5 times 6, which is equal to 30 divided by 2, and it will give you the value of 15, okay? And this is the sum of total values, and if you subtract each value from our array from 15, for example 15 minus 1, minus 5, and minus 1, minus 1, minus 2, and minus 3 actually, this will give you the 10, 9, 7, and 4. This is the way that Google wants you to think about. So it's actually really simple logic, but it can be hard to find actually. And now let's try to implement it. So it will go like this. What is our function? And find missing. Let's call this optimal integer array and the size of our array. So int, we can call this sum. And as you remember, our sum will be equal to n plus 1. Let's write it like this, n plus 1 times n plus 2 divided by 2. But be sure to put brackets around them just to be safe. And since we know that this will always be even size, n plus the combination of 2's is always even size, we don't need to check if it's divisible by 2 or not. And now you can just write a simple for loop here or use the C++ functions again. Let's try both. So for int I equals 0, I smaller than n and I plus plus. So now our sum will be subtracted by array's ith element. And since we subtracted all of our elements now, we can safely return our sum here. Let's try it now. Let's see out, find missing, optimal here. As you can see, we have successfully gained 4 here. And actually you can do it with C++ again. Actually guys, C++ built-in functions. Let's try to see how it will work. So it will go like this. You can just create a new variable here and tot array or something like this, whatever you want. And there's a function called accumulate in C++. Actually I don't remember the library of it, so I'm just implementing bit/standard C++.h. In our accumulate function there will be 3 parameters. So the parameters will go like this. Our array's starting point, our array's ending point, and the current value of our sum. So you can just write 0 here, and after this you can just return sum minus total array. Let's try it now again. As you can see, we've successfully gained 4 from our function. I like this accumulate more than this for loop because it's just one-liner and simple and easy. So this is actually it, guys. We've solved this problem in 3 lines actually, and if you want you can actually do it in 2 lines. It's a really simple question, but you need to use your brain a little bit and find the optimal solution. So see you guys in the next tutorial. Take care.